به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. النبي أولى بالمؤمنين من أنفسهم وأزواجه أمهاتهم. وقال تعالى: إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: خير نسائها مريم وخير نسائها خديجة، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم، ونحن على ما قال ربنا وخالقنا ورازقنا لمن الشاهدين والشاكرين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ومولانا محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي نبي الرحمة، كما تحب وترضاه عدد ما تحب وترضاه، كلما ذكره الذاكرون وكلما غفل عن ذكره الغافلون. Respected elders, brothers, sisters, and friends, Jazakumullahu khairah for giving me the opportunity to speak in front of you and present some lessons from the life of our beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. As we have just 1.5 weeks towards Ramadan, everybody is expecting probably for the khutbah to be about preparing for Ramadan. But I'm sure, mashallah, that Imam Habib has spoken about this at length, about preparing for Ramadan, the virtues of Ramadan. Along with that, inshallah, tonight after Maghrib, we have a program which is a continuation of yesterday's program. And tomorrow, starting from Zuhr Salah all the way till Isha Salah, we have different programs about preparing for the month of Ramadan. We'll be speaking about zakah in detail, inshallah. We'll be speaking about fasting in detail, inshallah. And then we'll have some lessons in spirituality from the month of Ramadan. Inshallah, all of those will be tomorrow. So today instead, what I'd like to talk about, I was invited here and I saw that this is the Khadeeja Islamic Center. So I want to speak about Khadeeja radiyallahu anha. Who is this masjid named about, and what are some of her defining features? And in fact, you'll see when you look in her personality, and you look in the way that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam treated her, you'll see lessons that are going to be applicable in the month of Ramadan as well. And what do I mean by that? And you see, there's two aspects to this. When we look at Khadeeja radiallahu anha's life, we look at what she did and what she embodied. And then we look at how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam treated her in return for what she did. So these are two things that we need to focus on. The first thing that we need to focus on is Khadeeja radiallahu ta'ala anha. She had an amazing quality, and that quality was that when she identified something that she believed in, she would pursue it, and then she would work for that thing tirelessly. She began by doing business with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, of course through a medium, right, through a wakil system, etc. But she heard about his good character, and she realized that this is a special person, and people who worked for her and worked with Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said many good things about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So she recognized the goodness in this man. So she went ahead and she sent a proposal to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is one lesson for us as well. You know, sometimes if a family, if parents, if they recognize, it's not always the guy that has to go to the girl's family for rishta, right? It could be that if you recognize somebody who's good in the community, a boy, and you have a daughter, you could approach their family as well. But Khadeeja radiallahu anha, she approached Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, again through people, through intermediaries, and they were married. After that, she dedicated her life to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. When you look at Surah Al-Duha, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, أَلَمْ يَجِدْكَ يَتِيمًا فَآوَى وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. We found you poor and we made you rich. How did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make him rich? Through Khadeeja radiallahu ta'ala anha. Khadeeja radiallahu anha, when she married Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, she said, whatever is mine is yours. Go ahead and use it, because I know that you'll use it in the best things. And what did Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam use it for? That leads us to our second point. Because what she was for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was, she was a rock and pillar of support for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was in the cave of Hira, sitting there. Jibreel alayhi salam comes to him. And during his retreats to Hira, because prior to Nubuwa, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, حُبِّبَ إِلَيْهِ الْخَلْوَةِ أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام, that it was made beloved to me to be alone. So it's not that he went to the cave of Hira for one night and Jibreel alayhi salam came. He would go for weeks on end. He would go. It wasn't like today, you have a 9 to 5 job or anything. He would go, he would come back, see to his family, go for a week or two, come back. In that time that he was there, Khadeeja radiallahu anha would go and check on him. Khadeeja radiallahu anha would go and take him food. If anybody has been to Umrah, to Hajj, you've tried to climb up to Hira, it's difficult. Now imagine a woman who was older than Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, climbing up, why? To serve him, to give him food, to make sure that he's okay. Now Jibreel alayhi salam comes to him and immediately what does he do? He has friends. He has Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala. They're good friends. He was one of the most respected people in Quraysh. He had people like Abu Talib radiallahu, he had Abu Talib, Hazrat Abu Talib. He had people like them, right? Now what did he do? He didn't run to any of them. Immediately he went to Khadeeja radiallahu anha. He said, Zammiluni, wrap me up. And then he said, I don't know what's happening to me. She said, be happy. Glad tidings to you. These ahadith, I'm not reading them off due to the time, but you'll find this in Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmizi, all famous ahadith. Famous ahadith. What did she say? This is the second hadith in Bukhari Sharif. She says to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, what did she help him in? What did she allow him to use wealth for? Now she's mentioning it when she's supporting him. She said that what do? You help the poor. You help the needy. You support them. You join family ties. You take care of everyone. Wallahi, nothing bad could happen to you. This is only good. And then she went to Waraqa bin Nawfal and asked and said that this is what my husband is saying. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, this is what he said. He said, this is a prophet. And she took Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to Waraqa. This is the support that she provided. Now look, she provided support. She provided wealth. Did she ever ask for anything in return? Did she ever ask for recognition? No. You see that there's two groups of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, and all of them ala ra'si wal ayn, all of them. But you see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He divided them into two categories. And I'm not talking about Muhajirun and Ansar. I'm talking about there's some Sahaba who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed them the fruits of their effort in their young age in their lifetime. So they became extremely wealthy. It doesn't detract from their reward. Inshallah, they'll be some of them like Abdul Rahman bin Auf from the Ashara Mubashara, Uthman radiallahu anh from the Ashara Mubashara. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them some of the rewards, showed them the fruits of their labor in this world. And because of that, Abdul Rahman bin Auf radiallahu anh, once this hadith is in Bukhari Sharif, he was sitting one day and he was fasting and food was brought in front of him. He began to cry. He began to cry and he said that, you know, there were people with us like Mus'ab bin Umair, who's from the second group, that when he died, he had nothing. He had nothing. He was the richest person in Makkah, richest youth in Makkah. But when he went to Medina, the way that he died was such that the sheet that we had wasn't big enough to cover his entire body. We'd try to cover his head, his feet would become uncovered. We'd pull it down to cover his feet, his head would become uncovered. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, cover his head and just put leaves over his feet. There were people like that didn't get anything. And Abdul Rahman said, bin Auf radiallahu anh said, look at what we have. And he began to cry and he didn't even break his fast at that time. He just began to cry. Right? So you see, some people, Allah gave them reward in this world. That's one group. And Allah will give them much, much more in the akhirah. But there are other people who didn't see any reward, any fruits of their labor manifested in this world. And Khadeeja radiallahu ta'ala anha is at the top of this list. But she never asked for anything. She was with Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam through all these difficulties, but she never asked for a thing. And imagine what she went through. She had to see 2 daughters divorced. Why? Because of Islam. Some say divorce, others say that the engagement was broken off. It's the worst thing a parent could ever see. Their daughters being sent back home. Then what else did she have to go through? People would break into her house. People would insult her husband. People would physically abuse her husband. She and her husband and all members of the family were exiled from Makkah for 3 years. Imagine all of this that she had to go through. Never complained at all. And so once Jibreel alayhi salam came to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and you'll find this as well. And he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says salam to Khadeeja radiallahu ta'ala anha. Allah says salam to Khadeeja radiallahu anha. And then he told Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, give glad tidings to her of a qasab in Jannah, bi baytim min qasabin, for la sakhaba fihi wa la nasab. that she'll have a palace in Jannah, and there will be no tiredness and no fatigue over there, because her whole life was full of fatigue, tiredness, toil, work, and she didn't get any reward here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives it in the akhirah. So what do we learn from that? We learn that if we believe in something and we believe in the truth of something, we go ahead and we support it wholeheartedly. We get behind it. But we don't necessarily have to see the rewards. Seeing the rewards is not a sign of acceptance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A person can work and work and work, and they might not see anything apparent, but yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has accepted them. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said he was once shown in a dream the different nations of the Prophet. He said, I saw some prophets, they had only between 3 and 10 people with them. Their entire ummah comprised of 3 to 10 people. I saw some prophets with just one person. I saw some prophets standing alone, meaning nobody believed in them. Does that mean that they're unaccepted? Na'udhu billahi min zalik. They're the greatest people of all time. Nuh alayhi salatu was salam, 950 years he preached. The Mufassirin say less than 80 people believed in Nuh alayhi salatu was salam. So now this shows that do the work. The reward is on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He may give it in this dunya, He may give it afterward. It's not all about recognition. When a person does something, for example, a person volunteers in a masjid, a person volunteers in some non-profit organization, right? But expecting something out of it. Either expecting results from that organization or expecting some type of recognition, then what will happen? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may give them the recognition in this world, but they won't get the reward in the akhirah. They'll lose it all, right? And it will be said to them on the day of judgment, go get the reward from the people you sought reward from. Go get reward from them. This is a lesson of Khadeeja radiallahu anha. Now we come to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. How did he treat her? Because each of us, we all have Khadeejas in this community. That's what I meant in the month of Ramadan. You'll have Khadeejas over here. You'll have people who are in the back, selflessly cleaning the bathrooms. People serving food to one another, not expecting anything. You'll have people like that. And a lot of times we don't notice those people. But Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he noticed. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she said that I was ما غرت على أحد من نساء النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ما غرت على خديجة. I never was envious of any of the wives of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Aisha radiallahu was Aisha. She was smart, she was beautiful, she was beloved to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Except I was jealous about Khadeeja radiallahu ta'ala anha. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam kana yakthuru dhikraha. He used to constantly speak about her. She's dead, she passed away. In Medina, because Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his marriage was consummated with Aisha radiallahu anha. In Medina, Khadeeja radiallahu anha passed away in Makkah. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would constantly mention her. One time she got fed up. She said, you talk as if there's no other woman in the world besides Khadeeja. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, yes, she did this for me. She did this for me. She supported me. She believed in me. Nobody was there with me, but she was with me. Right? Allah gave me children through her. In one hadith, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put the love of Khadeeja in my heart. So I won't forget that. So whenever Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would sacrifice an animal, look at that time. That time, months would go by without Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam eating meat, right? So him sacrificing an animal is a big deal. Whenever he would sacrifice it, he would say that, send this to so-and-so, because they were the friends of Khadeeja. They were the friends of Khadeeja, go send it to so-and-so. He would constantly think about them. One time, Khadeeja radiallahu anha's sister Hala radiallahu anha came. And she said, Assalamu alaikum at the door. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for a second, her voice resembled Khadeeja. Khadeeja. And then he said, oh, Allahumma hala, it's hala. But that love was always there for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he appreciated that love. So he would tell others about her. In public, he would praise her. And in private, these things, sending meat to their friends, etc., that's something that's private. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would do that as well. And what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said about her is, khayru nisa'ya, of the ummats, the best of the women is Maryam, wa khayru nisaiya Khadeeja. And the greatest of the women is Khadeeja radiallahu anha as well. So this is what we need to do as well. You'll have those Khadeeja, those people who are not getting recognition but are serving selflessly, tirelessly over here. And you may be somebody who is an important person here or at work or in whatever organization you may be in. You're that person. Go ahead and recognize that person. Praise them. Praise them in their presence. Praise them in their absence. Make dua for them in their absence. Right? And there's people who assisted us in our life, who may not be here anymore, We can't forget that assistance that they gave us either. Again, what do we owe them? To make dua for them, to do silatul raham with their relatives, their loved ones, treat them good. Once Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu was going in the desert, he saw a Bedouin come in. I'll end in 1 minute. He saw a Bedouin, he got off of his camel and he went to talk with him. His students were with him as well, right? His students were with him. All of a sudden, Abdullah bin Umar took off his turban and handed it to him. Then he handed his camel to this man. They said, Ya Shaykh. His student said, Ya Shaykh. They thought it was a beggar. They said that he would have been happy with a few dinars. Why did you give him a camel? The equivalent of a car, better than a car. Because a car doesn't reproduce or give you milk, or you can't slaughter and eat a car. You could do that with a camel. Why do you give this? Right? And your turban, that's a sign of honor. He said that his father was the friend of my father. So to honor my father, I honored him. And this is how we have to be with those people that are around us, that gave us a step up in life, that helped us, that may not be recognized. Show them that they matter. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to embody the spirit of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and Khadeeja radiyallahu ta'ala anha. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.